Some of them had the education and experience and interest in those new jobs, but a lot of people just ended up leaving. It was painful, but it made us stronger and kept our lights on and our doors open.
When you're going to raise funds, how do you decide which organizations to work with? How do you decide what's worth your time and energy?
As a volunteer and donor, or me as a professional?
Both. As you as a human being who lives in both of those capacities.
I think that when I was first starting out, I didn't think as much about what the mission was of the organization. I mean, I like public radio as much as the next person when I first took that job. When I came to Weave, I came here because I knew it would be a very difficult environment for me to work in. I don't gravitate towards people in pain and tend to not want to look at human suffering.
Like most of us.
Like most of us, but then it was very gratifying. Every day made a difference. I got to a point after 6 years where a number of things were happening, but I couldn't have the conversation with donors that I was having anymore. It was everybody was disclosing to me, and it's a hard conversation to talk to somebody about. So I went back to public radio, where it's all about, I like to listen to NPR, and everybo's.
I like the world.
It's all about me and what I like to listen to on the radio. It's a different conversation, different donor conversation, and I liked that for a while. It was nice to get away from pain and suffering and people giving because they were assaulted, that sort of thing. But eventually, all roads led me back to doing this work, where I come to work and I know whatever it is I'm doing is changing or improving somebody's life today. Just because I'm
real people that you could point at and say, Susie Jones' life was better because we funded the Rape Crisis Center or whatever, something
Absolutely.
like
that. And I think that for somebody who's looking at a job in fundraising, for instance, be sure it's something you want to talk about all day, because it's going to be your life, and be sure it's something you're really passionate about. And if you're looking to get involved with an organization as a donor or a volunteer, be passionate about it. I mean, my board of directors is outstanding because we're finally at a point where everybody's on it because they are passionate about it and want to go out and raise money. Nobody's just taking up a seat. And too often we get involved in these volunteer things,
because our buddy at church told us to go.
Exactly. So I think that you got to have the passion for the mission.
One of our viewers is sitting there going, I wish I knew what I wanted to do. I want to do something, but nothing's calling my name. How can they find out where their niche is?
I think look for what you wish could be better or different. Look at where you can change or enhance a life, even if it's your own life. I mean, I love the arts. I grew up in the arts. And for some people, their calling is, I want this museum to be bigger and better. Or I want all kids to have access to the arts. Whatever it is that you see that there's a hole in our society. And I would encourage people, call executive directors, chat with them, see what they're doing that makes a difference in this world. And
watch more of my videos. I have interviews with a number of them.
And see what really resonates with you. And align yourself with an organization that is making a difference, is using its money well, is transparent, and has a big vision for something that
you can sign on
with.
Are you currently of service to the community in any ways other than your position with this organization and the other boards that you've already mentioned?
I am on the ALS Association board here
That's Lou
locally.
Gehrig's disease?
Lou Gehrig's disease. I'm the president of that board, and I am the national representative, so I vote and work with all the other chapters, and that's very separate from my work at Weave.
And that's about raising money to find a cure for that disease as well.
It's raising money to find a cure, and here in Sacramento, a lot of our funds and energy are spent on patient care. It's different in different chapters, but here we have a durable medical equipment closet where we lend things out to families right after diagnosis, and do a lot of actual support groups and patient care. So I do that, and that's a big volunteerism thing. When my kids were at home, I did a lot of work on things that they were engaged in.
Was there a moment at which you knew that service was going to be a major aspect of your life, an epiphany?
You know, right out of college, I got a job at a title company, and I worked there for 2.5 years, and you know, that was a whole
What did you
lot
do?
of- I was an escrow assistant, and
Okay,
you know, I
okay.
researched titles, and I didn't like it very much. I mean, it was okay. I liked the people I worked with and all, but going back to grad
Didn't inspire you?
did not inspire me. And I worked for Delta Airlines briefly, doing reservations, which was equally uninspiring for me. In grad school, I got the only non-teaching assistantship. Everybody else had to teach speech, and I was the publicity director for the theater department. And so I had this role of, we weren't raising money per se, but we did all the direct mail pieces, and I worked with the media, and I liked that role. I liked working with the folks that contributed to the theater, and you know, either with time or money, and I managed all the volunteers who worked in the box office and such. And so, I mean, felt like the job I was meant to have, and in fact, it's what I've been doing ever since, if you really think about it.
I'm going to give you examples of two hypothetical viewers.
Okay.
One is educated. They're doing well in their life. They're, you know, financially, no clouds on the horizon. They could be married or not, kids or not, but they're very socially engaged and very busy in their life, you know, busier than a one-armed paper hanger. The other one is maybe someone who's struggling. Maybe they're not educated. Maybe they're even serially unemployed. Their life is very difficult. It's all they can do each day to get dinner on the table. Neither of these people has ever done anything for anyone outside themselves, with the possible exception of their immediate family, you know, their spouse and their children. Why would they want to serve someone or something other than their own narrowly defined self-interest?
You know, I think most people genuinely want to find a way to make a difference in the world, even if they're so caught up in their own lives, whether their lives are good or bad. I've just repeatedly worked with so many people in the community who are either giving their last dollar to something because they're hoping it will make a difference for somebody else and for themselves, or they're giving away $100,000 without a care because they've got it. But deep down in there's, you know, I think everybody, there is an urge to do something that will make a difference. And you just have to tap into what somebody thinks a difference is. It could be that my kid's school is cleaner because I helped on the committee and picked up the trash. Yeah, so that it's nicer for my community. I just think even the most selfish person just has not been shown what their options are.
What could they expect to get out of it if they did something for someone or something outside themselves? What are they going to feel? What are they going to experience? What can they get out of it?
I think people who volunteer or contribute financially, or just take on an advocacy role of talking about an issue, are motivated by a handful of things, and it's different for everybody. I mean, some people really want that recognition. They want a name on a wall. They want to be attached to it. Other people are really invested in having it be something they own, that they created it, and that kind of entrepreneurial, visionary thing. Other people just want to know that somebody's life was saved and that the world's a better place. I think you have to find out what it is that inspires you, and if you're working with people and trying to get them to support you, find out what inspires them. The best thing to do is just listen to people talk. One of my favorite exercises to do with people who are learning how to do fundraising is to have them go get something from their office, bring them together as a group, and tell us why you have this in your office, you know, whether it's a picture or whatever.
Like that picture of the dog behind you.
Like the picture of the
Why
dog
do you
behind
have the picture
me.
of the dog behind you?
Because I have a dog named Demetrius, who's a pug, and I love him, and he makes me happy when I go home and look at him, and he's so appreciative of walks and food, and I have pugs all around me because it makes me think of him and makes me happy. But you can learn a lot about people's values if you just listen to them talk about what where they've felt successful in life, what has mattered to them, and really drawing out what difference they feel like they've made in the world. And I feel like it's my job to do that with the community. People aren't going to just run at me with money. It's my job to find out what you care about so that I can talk about what I care about and what we can do together and really make a difference. And that's my job, is to link you to that.
Please summarize briefly the various organizations that you give time and money to, your efforts.
So I'm on the boards of directors, which always involves time and or money, of the Midtown Business Association, Planned Giving Forum of Sacramento, which is a fundraising entity, the ALS Association, CalCASA, which is a statewide coalition of rape crisis centers that does a lot of advocacy work at the Capitol. First Five Commission, Children's Coalition, and I give money to Capitol Public Radio, our local public radio station. Also, there's 2 theater groups in town that I give to, and I mean, I'd give a lot more if people would ask. I think that's one of the biggest challenges in our community with fundraising. There are a lot of groups that if they asked me, I'd give them a gift, and they just don't. And I give to my alma mater.
If you knew that you could not fail, if I were able to give you an ironclad 100% guarantee of success on your next project, what would you attempt?
Well, it's already in the planning stages, but I'm not sure we can pull it off. It's to build a shelter to house men in the LGBTQ community and folks with disabilities and anybody for whom a shelter for women and children is not an appropriate place. And nobody's done it before the way I've envisioned it, and I've got the funding to build it. I don't know how we're going to sustain it. So to me, it is out of the box because it's not in alignment with what everybody else is doing in this country, but I think it can make a big difference with victims. Well, and that's part of why we envisioned this project that I'm calling Open House, because I don't like that there is so much judgment around who can or cannot come into a women's shelter and live. There are some people that they just can't cohabitate in a big, huge, institutionalized sort of safe house. So it's envisioned as being smaller apartments and being able to slice and dice the population and best serve people.
Right now, we just recently passed 7 billion human beings on the planet. Let's pretend for a moment that all of them are going to watch this video. What would you say to us?
What would I say to everyone on the planet? I think I would say that each of you are valuable and deserve to be treated with dignity and live in a violence-free home and have respect.
If I could give you any superpower, one that you've heard of, bending steel, x-ray vision, those kinds of things, or one that you make up on the spot, which one would you request from me?
The superpower I would pick, I think it would be to be able to instantly know what a person needs. Whether it's just a kind word or something more farther pinging on the scale of Maslow. I think I'd like to really be able to know what somebody needs from me in that moment.
What's your favorite movie?
Lost in America.
Why?
Because I thought it was hilarious in 1985, the first time I saw it. It's followed very closely by Defending Your Life, both Albert Brooks movies, and now I'm torn. Probably Defending Your Life has taken, I'm not being very articulate there. Defending Your Life, because I love the idea that it's based on what your fears are and how you handle them, and that determines whether you go on to the next life. Yes. I love that.
Who are your heroes?
My heroes? Well, right now I would pick Tina Fey. She's smart and hilarious
And cute.
and cute. Gosh, I'm probably going to throw Hillary in there just because I think she's put up with a whole lot of crap and she doesn't deserve it.
And she stayed a lady the whole time.
She just continues to power on.
How can we take people who just have average parents or even subpar parents and help them to become the kind of a servant leader that you are, or Dennis is, or Bob is?
I think people who've had it a little tougher or had parents who weren't always supportive sometimes rise up to be the best leaders. I think it can be paralyzing to have parents that expect too much out of you. I mean, I look at it with my own kids. Am I expecting the world out of this child who's just a child? So I think out of adversity comes resilience and strength for a lot of people, and they're probably tougher and better people than the rest of us.
Thank you so much for meeting with me. You've been very kind and gracious with your time and your energy, and I wish you continued success.
Thank you. Thank you for picking me as part of your project.